Hello and welcome to Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game.
Yay!
Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
I'm Breanna.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Josh. And today we are following up on a special episode that we last recorded. It's the continuation of Charlie's birthday.
Rock on, people! Rock on!
Happy birthday, Charlie.
Today we're going to be discussing one of Charlie's favorite works, Bartleby the Scrivener, by Herman Melville.
Great read. It's a fast read. For me, it was. I found it very interesting. I like how Bartleby, I can't even say his name, but he was always ready. At first, he was ready. If any of you read the novel, he was ready to do the task at hand, but then he stopped after a while. Kind of like, I guess you can kind of say he was kind of like a college student. No offense to anybody here. Like, I'm ready. Or like SpongeBob. Well, SpongeBob was always ready, but he was like always ready. And then he's just like, he stopped doing everything. I guess he got tired. He got bored. I haven't read it in a while, but.
Well, yeah, in the book, the narrator actually mentioned something about his eyesight, but it comes off like it's just an assumption that he's making.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily that Bartleby says anything about his eyes. He just stops working.
Yeah.
Let's begin with the fact that Bartleby's impression and what role did the other employees, Turkey, Nippers, and Ginger Nut play?
We're going to have turkey? I love turkey. Sorry.
Only at Thanksgiving. But what role they played in supporting Bartleby and his disposition? What do you think that they had to contribute? Did they
I know that
alter the impression?
Nippers and the other guy, Ginger? No, I'm thinking of fruit now. Yeah, turkey. That one was always drunk, and the other one was always sober. And then at different times, it
Turkey can function in the morning, while Nippers functioned in the afternoon.
And then it would be vice versa.
And Ginger Nut was just an errand boy, and he was.
He was a little guy.
He was named because Turkey and Nippers, they would ask for ginger nut cakes from him.
I love cake. Cake? Where do I get my cake?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, what role did they play? I'm not sure. To me, they seemed more like they were
Functioning alcoholics?
Well, yes.
That's basically what they did. They drank.
But they were there more as like a sounding board for the narrator. I felt like, where he could ask them, what they thought of Bartleby's behavior more than.
And get different opinions on it, right?
Yes, and then of course based on what time of day would be the extreme.
Oh, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Then 5 hours later,
You also
who is he? Who is this guy? What?
You also have to take into account Bartleby would prefer not to do these things. What are the other people going to be like? You got to give Bartleby. You have to give him people to push off on. You have to have examples of how other people work as copyists.
For
The way that Turkey and Nippers, they do their job efficiently at different times.
For those of you that don't know, a Scrivener is somebody who copies. Back then, we didn't have technology like we have now, like this cute little camera we're all looking into right now, and that you're going to see our pretty faces. Well, they're pretty faces, and mine is a little off. I'm kidding. It was basically someone who would take a piece of paper, it was already copied, and would just rewrite the whole note. So that is a little side note. That's what a Scrivener was. I didn't know that until I read it, and I read a cute little footnote. So there you go.
Is there something you want to say, Bree?
I think they're supposed to be like contrasting personalities. Like they do what they're told, like what the lawyer tells them to do, and then Bartleby just says, "I'd rather not. I'd prefer not to." So, and it's interesting because in the very beginning he says, like Bartleby is the most interesting he's ever had, like copywriter, but he doesn't do anything. He just like sits at work and he doesn't eat, and the other men do their job, but he pays special attention to Bartleby. I think that's interesting.
Very much. They're very everyday. A lot of people. It's traditional for somebody to obediently do their job to some extent, maybe not perfectly, and then have engage in different pleasures, such as eat. I'm guessing a lot of them have happy appetites, like this individual on my right.
And they like to go to restaurants, and they
Oh, me?
presumably, sorry, they presumably have home lives with families. Where Bartleby actually, we find out, lives in the office
He lives in the office.
on Wall Street. And so that after business hours, there's nobody around. He's completely alone and has really nothing going on.
Hence
So it
this-
is strange, that the narrator would say that he was the most interesting, because other than the part of the job that he actually does for a little while, he does nothing except stare out the window at a brick wall.
That's how it comes. On to more about Bartleby. What do you believe? Why do you believe that he refused to complete any tasks, and yet he continued to show up to work every day? Who wants to take this one?
I don't think he had much to do.
Yeah, to me, I mean,
And this word tells you when he used to work, and that just doesn't work.
yeah.
I guess he enjoyed it for a little bit, and then he's like, yeah, I'll get to it later.
A lot of that has to connect to his background, and I think that if you're going to, one of the points that I had on here was to explain the very last line, Bartleby, humanity, which Bartleby, come to look at it, is not as strange as a person as one may think. He is quite the, I think there are plenty of people that are like Bartleby, and a lot of them function in Wall Street to this very day. Just look at what he did for a living and how he lost his job because the administration did not return. Put the pieces together. Comment?
I don't know what you're referring to.
What I'm referring to is people, if they're, as long as they still have a job, they would rather do nothing and keep the job than do something, whether good or bad, that is going to put their job in jeopardy.
But I don't even think that he, in the end, he no longer has the job because he refuses to do the job.
He ends up dying eventually.
Well, yeah, but before that,
As
the office moves, right? Oh, just to get away from him. They move the entire office away to a different location. He has no job. He has nothing to speak of, and yet he's still there in the building, hanging out on the steps.
he's trying to demonstrate a message.
Saying, like, no, I don't want to.
Okay.
That
It's
kind
just,
of
it's a
thing.
constant. I
to.
prefer not to. I prefer, it's an ongoing message that sounds very, people question it, but at the same time, it's, Bartleby is a very logical representative of the Transcendental movement, of he's just going to be who he is. And
You have to accept it.
pretty much.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to, like, deal with Bartleby after, like, he just doesn't know what to do.
I think in one scene, the manager requires Bartleby to come to his office. I think he was just to test him. He's like, Bartleby, then there's nothing, he doesn't do anything. He sits there. Bartleby, or am I saying it right?
Yes,
Yes.
Bartleby.
Bartleby, okay. I'm only an English major, that's all. And then still no response. And then the manager bellows his name, Bartleby, get in here. And then you hear, as the book says, or the novel says, you can hear the scraping of his chair, and he comes in, is like, and then, I guess they engage in some type of conversation, like, why don't you do anything? Or, I read this,
Bartleby has played
He's like,
the
will you
game.
do this for
Yeah.
me? And he says, I prefer not to. Will you do that for me? I prefer not.
And it's not no, I refuse.
Right.
It's,
I prefer not
I
to.
prefer not to. It leaves it to the, if the guy told him, if the narrator told him, you are going to have to he really stood off when he said that I prefer not to, until he ultimately lost his role. But then he begins to learn more about Bartleby as the story progresses.
Yeah.
And what do we, how do we see the last line? Anybody wanted to?
That was a difficult pill for me to swallow, I'm going to be honest. I couldn't make any connection. The only connection I can make out of that is, obviously Bartleby is dead. It's safe to say he no longer is alive. And it's the general, the manager who comes to see him, right? Mm-hmm. And says, "Oh, Bartleby, all humanity." Yeah. What he's saying is, I think maybe now I understand why you're off. We were going about it's transcendentalism, like you're different, that's okay, I accept you now, or something like that. I really couldn't make a coherent.
Yeah, it is interesting the role that the narrator kind of plays with.
I like it though.
With Bartleby, like, you know, where he wants to have sympathy for him, and he's afraid that he won't have sympathy for him at certain points. But then he finds that he does anyway. And then he finds that in the end he's the only one that has sympathy for him.
Yeah.
Other than, you know, after he goes to jail and he meets the cook there.
I like food.
Yeah.
Cake! Where's my cake, folks? I've been denied.
In a little bit.
That's what. Okay.
But before that, you know, the narrator is he's struggling with, you know, how to deal with this person, and he wants to have sympathy with him, but he's afraid that he won't. At the same time, do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Vaguely, yes.
There was one part when he felt sad for him.
Well, it
there
seemed
was,
like
he did pay, yeah, I remember the visit.
he tolerated him throughout. Like, he could have fired him straight away.
Like, get out.
You're not doing, you know, part of the requirements of your job. You're fired.
But he saw something in him which, in the long run, he saw an element of humanity that some of us, many of us don't see, but is present, which that's something Bartleby highly possesses.
Hopelessness?
Hopelessness, but in the way that we're from what Melville's trying to bring across, a world of hopelessness, a practice of hopelessness.
Really, a practice of hopelessness.
Which, don't forget, Bartleby the Scrivener, the follow-up is the story of Wall Street, and a lot of writers were not necessarily supportive of the flow of Wall Street, which, granted, in today's society, Wall Street is the center of stock exchange.
Mm-hmm.
It's a center of frustration to some people.
Yeah.
But that all comes down to whether or not you agree or disagree.
Today the Dow went down 50 points. Ah, come on. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, I would like to know what you guys thought of the epilogue there, where they're talking about the dead letters. Like, how does that factor into the?
I believe that with regard, that it tells us why Bartleby was the way he was, and that he lost a job because he made a decision, or it was because his administration did not make it into the next cycle. Mm-hmm. So, in this new role that he played, to be indecisive and to just remain neutral, he would have a better chance at keeping his job for the long run. It's very much like a political figure. Any decision that they make puts their chances of getting reelected in jeopardy.
Definitely.
Just look at some of the individuals that have been in office for 40 years.
Do you think that where he works, though, has something to do with 40 years, like the dead letters?
That has a lot, it does play a lot onto that. The dead letters, it's interacting with those that were, many of the people that are dealt with are in fact deceased or written.
Yes, and the line just before the last line is something along the lines of these dead letters on errands of life. You know, go to the furnace or whatever it is. Then they die.
Mm.
But on errands of life, and then it's Bartleby our humanity. So maybe what they're trying to get at is, or what Melville's trying to get at is that you know, you can outlive your purpose. Maybe whatever you're doing in life, once you come to a certain point where you no longer have purpose, and all you're doing is kind of like looking out that window at nothing, and just waiting for death.
And connect Bartleby and humanity together. And a lot of people think the way that Bartleby does, only they may not demonstrate it in the same exact way. So I guess we're ready for cake? Anybody that thinks they have a good voice can sing Happy Birthday.
Oh wait, it's my birthday.
Alrighty.
Be careful with that symbol.
I don't think we can afford
Birthday
the
boy
royalties.
first.
Oh, you shouldn't have. Thank you so much.
Have the other one too.
Which one?
This one.
The chocolate.
You get a taste of both worlds.
I like chocolate.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, I get my cake.
They're from ShopRite, because ShopRite's the greatest store in the world.
You know, they actually do have a pretty good
Mr. Cunningham should give me brownie points for that.
Brownies? We're gonna get brownies too?
Happy birthday, Charlie.
Yeah, thanks a lot, my friend.
Ching ching.
Alrighty, if you're interested in reading Bartleby the Scrivener, you could find that particular work in several anthologies. One of which is the world's greatest short stories, edited by James Daly, and it also features works from Hemingway, Kafka, Borges, who Lily is quite fond of, and Virginia Woolf, who we're going to be going over later in the season. Be sure to join us for another episode of Literary Gladiators. Until next time, keep reading.
Always take the wrapper off your cupcake.
Mm.